goes to their room. And we are doing this so that the children can have a father and mother in the home. But children are not foolish. Children see the situation in the homes. Children are very perceptive, and the children know that something is wrong. They can see that between mom and dad, there is something wrong. The unfortunate thing is that lessons are caught and not really taught. Many times we think that we are teaching our children, but what they catch from the way we are relating to one another, many times will impact them more than what we teach them. And indeed, it is said often, your words, your actions are so loud that I can't hear what you're saying. How many of our children are saying that? My parents' actions are so loud that I cannot hear what they're saying. I'll go back to this book that the Lord allowed me to write in 2011. And as I went back to the revelations that the Lord gave me, I realized that the Word of God is true. It does not change. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. It is said that two halves make a whole. Romantic as it may sound, unfortunately, it is not true. This principle only works with fruits. That if you have an orange, you cut it in half, they're two separate ones, but when you bring the two halves together, they make the whole. One time I sat in a service, a wedding ceremony, where the pastor, this was what the main topic was, that two halves make a whole. Why do I say that two halves cannot make a whole in marriage? Because if this person, the husband comes and he is only half, the wife comes, she is only half. We have two people who are still incomplete, who have their struggles, who have their weaknesses, and they're trying to come together to form one unit. They've been brought up in separate homes. They've had separate experiences as they have grown up. And now you expect them to come together and make one whole. What they will actually make is not a whole, but a whole. A whole as they begin to see each other's weaknesses. Because every spouse is a work in progress. As they begin to see each other's weaknesses, what is the result? The result becomes broken dreams, frustration, regret, and in some cases, unfortunately, even divorce. Even divorce. In Genesis chapter 8 and verse 22, we are told that in life, there is seed time and harvest. And Genesis 8:22 says, seed time and harvest will never cease. It talks about other things as well, but I'm zeroing in on the seed time. It says, night and day will not cease. Summer and winter will not cease. But one of the things it says is that seed time and harvest will never cease. Marriage has seed time and harvest. Whatever we sow into a marriage will eventually bring a harvest. But let me tell you something about seed time and harvest. I'm saying it quickly and I've made it one word. I've said seed time. Listen to me. In marriage, it is seed time and then harvest. Seed. Nobody thinks about the time in between the seed and the harvest. So it is not seed time. It is seed time, and harvest. Unfortunately, many of us are not comfortable with time. We get married today, and tomorrow we want to already be one. We want to already be one in our thinking. We want to be one with our emotions. We want to be one with our wills. Okay? We are only one with our bodies after marriage. But there has to be the seed, the time. Unfortunately, many couples have separated during the time. And we look back and wish they had just stayed together. Because marriage gets better with time. Why do I say that? Because the more we live together, the more we learn about each other's likes, their dislikes. We learn about how they were brought up, and we begin to make concessions, we begin to make sacrifices. So for marriage, we must give it that time between the seed and the harvest. Yesterday I was talking to my son, and he's been married 5 years. And I'm sure if he's listening somewhere, and I'm going to burst you right now, but if he's listening, this is what he told me. He said, Mama, right now, in this 5th year, we are better friends with my wife than we were when we were dating and when we first got married. And so my challenge to us is, let us trust God and ask God to give us the grace between the seed and the harvest. That time is needed, which is needed for us to sacrifice, for God to break us so that our marriages can be strong. Now, I've told you that I'm talking about 2 chapters today. The first chapter that I'm talking about is whose idea? Whose idea is marriage? And let me tell you something very interesting, a little story here. There were 2 young boys, 7 years old, and they just walked out of class. You know how children, they always have a best friend. And indeed, I always ask children, when I want to break ice with a little boy or a little girl, I always ask them, who is your best friend? Oh, and they always smile and they tell me who their best friend is. But anyway, 2 boys were walking out of class, holding each other like this, you know, that innocence. And as they were walking, one of the boys leaned into the ear of the other one and said, can I tell you a secret? But you must promise that you will not tell anyone. And the other one said, tell me. I will not tell anyone. Then his best friend turned to him and said, I hate girls. This what? I hate girls. And then the other one said quickly, me too. I also hate girls. 7-year-olds whose secret is that they hate girls. Next to the way that a caterpillar changes from a caterpillar to a butterfly is the way a 7-year-old boy, girl-hating boy, can turn to a 15-year-old girl-crazy boy. The only thing that can give us that kind of a change is between a caterpillar and a butterfly. How a 7-year-old can turn into a 15-year-old who is girl-crazy. But when they're 7-year-olds, they say, I hate girls. I hate girls. And now, whose idea was it that a man and a woman can be so attracted to each other that they would want to spend the rest of their lives together? Whose idea was it? Now, for the sake of the woman who was given false promises at the altar and has now found herself as a single mother with 3 children, for the sake of that lonely man who was promised undying love at the altar by his wife, only for now his wife to run away with another man. For the sake of those children who shuttle between 2 homes because their parents are divorced. For the sake of the parents of that unfortunate woman who was secretly killed by her husband and her body dumped in a river, we need to answer this question. Who created marriage? This institution that some have called a total failure. Who created marriage? Whose idea was it? And there are some people in marriages who, I wish I could find the person who created marriage because I'm so miserable in this marriage. Who created marriage? To find out who created marriage, we need to go back to the beginning of creation and meet a lonely man called Adam. After God created Adam, the Bible says, the Lord took the man that created him and put him carefully. This was God's project. He was so proud of his project, this man that he had created. So God takes him gently and puts him in the Garden of Eden. And he tells him to work and to take care of it. Because God knew that is what would give Adam identity. That is what would give him meaning if he can work. Many times we don't remember that for men, work does not mean the same thing for them as it means for a woman. Because for men, work gives them an identity. Gives them an identity. And this identity started in the Garden of Eden. So, what was Adam's problem? I don't think that she should have had any problem. Adam was in a perfect situation. He had a secure job. And that job where he was never going to be fired. I mean, think of how huge the world is. We're going to be fired. So he had a secure job. And the Lord also gave him authority. God told him, I'm giving you authority over everything that creeps on the ground. I'm giving you authority over the fish, over the animals, over everything. So Adam had a secure job. And Adam had authority. God also gave him honor. The honor of allowing him to name all the living creatures. Can you imagine the God of the universe telling a man, I give you permission. Any name that you give any creature, that will be its name. That will be its name. So Adam did not have to worry about being jobless. He did not have to worry about food. He did not have to worry about clothes. He did not have to worry about accommodation. And I'm sure some people are probably restless right now because the situation we are in right now with the coronavirus. We are worrying about joblessness. We are worrying about food. Worrying about accommodation. He did not have any of these to worry about. I'm sure that many people would have considered that as paradise. Too good to be true. Adam had it all. Yet God noticed something about that man. God noticed that Adam, regardless of the fact that he had everything that you and I would want to have today, he was lonely. He was lonely. Remember, we are asking who created marriage? He was lonely. So we find that a job is not going to give the man the companionship that he needs. Authority will not give him the companionship that he needs. Even honor will not give him the companionship that he needs. So listen to what God tells us in Genesis 2:18. The Lord God said, it is not good for man to be alone. I will make him a helper suitable for him. God did not say, I will make him a helper. Full stop. A particular kind of helper. I will make him a helper suitable for him. What Adam needed was companionship. He needed someone who would understand him. He needed someone who could identify with him and who could identify with him. So there's a very, very sad verse here in Genesis 2:18 when it says, but for Adam, no suitable helper was found. The elephants were in twos. They would go away. The animals would go away in twos. But here was Adam all alone. So who was looking for the suitable helper? Was it Adam? Adam was not even aware of his need. He did not know what was wrong and why, despite being in a perfect environment, he was still not satisfied. And it was God who detected this need for companionship in Adam. So we should not think that it is man who sees his need and then looks for the companionship. It was God who saw that Adam needed companionship. And not just any companion, not just any helper, but a suitable helper. It was God's idea to get a wife for Adam. It has never been man's idea. Marriage has never been man's idea. So we should tell ourselves, if marriage was not man's idea, then is it really man who knows how marriage should work? No, it is God. It was his idea, and he is the one who has the manual for how a marriage can work. But today, men and women think that marriage is their idea. We can tweak marriage, we can change it, we can decide what marriage is and what marriage is not, but that is not our jurisdiction, because we are not the ones who created marriage. Many times we feel competent enough to identify a suitable person for ourselves. We feel competent. We feel that we know ourselves enough that we know who we can be compatible with. In God's choice of a wife for Adam, God did not involve Adam. Shock on you. He did not involve Adam. But today, we believe that it is our right to be the one to decide that we need a suitable companion. And also we are the one who is going to go out and look around and identify and choose our mate. There is a consequence to that. There is a consequence to the way man thinks concerning marriage. And what is the consequence? Let me tell you. The consequence is that a lot of people have walked down the aisle with the person of their choice only to regret their decision a few years down the road. And they begin to wish, too late, that somebody had given them a glimpse of the person's heart before they said, I do. Before they said, I do. Unfortunately, many I do's have been undone to the grief and sorrow of many young families. The next point that I want to talk about is that the Lord looks at the heart. The Lord looks at the heart. In 1 Samuel chapter 16, we find a situation here where God has rejected Saul as king, and he has sent Samuel to go to the house of Jesse and to anoint a new king. The interesting thing is that God did not give Samuel any indication of who it might be. And I think that the lesson here was more for Samuel than for anybody else. And I can just imagine God looking at Samuel and saying, I wonder who he's going to choose as these young men come and walk in front of him. But Samuel probably thought that he was pretty good at making decisions, and he knew that the same way that God used him to choose Saul is the same way God was going to use him to choose the next king. Let us read together 1 Samuel chapter 16 and verses 6 to 7. And let me read it. When they arrived, Samuel saw Eliab. Eliab was one of the sons of Jesse. Very tall, very majestic, very handsome. And what did Samuel think in his heart? Surely the Lord's anointed stands before me here. But listen to what the Lord tells Samuel. The Lord said to Samuel, do not consider his appearance. Oops, ladies. Do not what, Lord? What did you say there, Lord? Do not consider his appearance. And I always find this amusing, or his height. I remember when we were in school, we'd sit up late at night, with papers and a list, and okay, the kind of man I would like to marry. Point number one, and we'd write it, And here is God telling Samuel, don't consider his appearance or his height. He must have been very, very tall. And he must have been good looking for God to say, don't consider his appearance. And why? God says, for I have rejected him. The Lord does not look at the things that man looks on. Because listen carefully. The Lord does not look at the things that man looks on. Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. The Lord looks at the heart. And we may argue here with the Lord and say, but I cannot see a person's heart. In this case, should we not then leave the choosing to the one who can? Should we not leave the choosing to the one who can see a person's heart? Who can see their heart? Even that moment at which you want to get married to them, God can see their heart. And so I want us to listen to some of the false ideas about marriage that people have had over the years. And I'm just going to read them directly from the book. These are false ideas that people have about marriage. Number one, that being married will make you whole. False. In marriage, people live happily ever after. And I can see you at home rolling your eyes. In marriage, people live happily ever after. False. A person has to be married by the age of 25. False. Only people, and now I'm talking to Kenyans, only people of the same ethnic group make happy couples. Shock on you. False. And this one is a one that I'm talking now to many Christian young ladies. I can marry a non-Christian and help him to become a Christian. False. Wealth brings a lot of happiness in marriage. False again. The couple has to be completely alike for the marriage to work. False. I'm seeing some habits here, but it's okay. I can ignore it. Because he or she will change that bad habit after marriage. False. In fact, the habit will become worse. Because if I can see this habit and they are still trying to impress me, can you imagine now when they are relaxed and they're not hiding their habits from me? So false again. Here's another one. You will never notice or be attracted to anybody else after marriage. And I can see some righteous people saying, true. No. False. False. You will still notice and be attracted to other people after marriage. That's why God tells us to be faithful and that the marriage bed should not be defiled. Why would he tell us that if we are not going to be attracted to somebody else? He tells us to have that discipline because this will happen. Another one. People need to live together first to see if they are compatible before they get married. False. Sex before marriage is acceptable as long as the couple has decided to get married. False. Everybody has a soulmate out there. So we just need to wait and they will automatically find us. False. After being married to the same person for a while, surely one needs a change. False. And here I'm going to be stepping on many toes. But I love stepping on toes. It says, 2 women can be married to each other. False. 2 men can be married to each other. False again. Because God created Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. Okay? Another one. Just get married. Why are you waiting? I mean, what is the big deal? Divorce is an option. If it does not work, just you divorce. A very big sad. False. Another one. Each spouse needs to pursue he or her career without letting marriage get in the way. False. Pastors make perfect husbands. False. And people's jaws are just, whoop. Pastors do not make perfect husbands. Husbands make perfect wives. You just need to talk to my husband. False. A virgin will make a perfect wife. False. Your spouse is going to meet all your emotional needs, all your social needs, and all your psychological needs. False. I don't need anybody's advice in my choice of a life partner. I am the one who's going to live with them, so leave the choice to me. False. This one is very deep, so listen carefully. Marriage is about rings, the smallest handcuffs known to man. False again. False again. And so we continue. And we're going to take a short break here. I will ask one guy if you can come and just lead us in a chorus. And since we are from all over the world, maybe you can do an English one. And I can ask Liz to come as well as we take a short break. When we come back, I will talk about finding the right mate. Finding the right mate. Thank you. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. How great is our God? Sing with me, how great is our God? Oh, we'll sing how great is our God. It trembles at his voice. It trembles at his voice.